It's happening again. A writer's changing my life in a way that I never thought could happen again. Excuse me 1 second. Colombian. Woke up this morning. It's a snow day, as you can see. Salon is closed for the day. I decided to get more sleep. Took some valerian root herb last night. And I'm gonna try to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night if I can. If that means going to bed earlier, I will. I still like getting up early. For me, getting more sleep means going to bed earlier, not sleeping later, because I still like being up at 4:30, 5 o'clock. So I'll make the proper adjustments. And because I'm not a TV watcher, a serial TV watcher, I don't watch anything. For instance, I'll watch something on Netflix, but I turn the TV on for that. When it's done, I turn it off. Notice, this is how old school I am. When I say turn on, I'm doing this. The physical motion of turning something on. When was the last time you turned something on like this? Now it's like this. Interesting, right? I just caught that in myself. Turning something on. Turning something on. So I'm reading C.S. Lewis this morning. And he wrote a lot about joy. If you haven't read C.S. Lewis, I don't care who you are, please get yourself the complete works of C.S. Lewis. Or a good place to start might be Surprised by Joy. Okay? This morning I'm reading A Grief Observed. And there's an afterword in the book that's close to 60 pages that's biographical and things that I've never known about the man, C.S. Lewis. He was a man's man. He is known, he is quoted as saying something to the effect of, let me not misquote this, let me find it, okay? I want to be able to say this properly without, I love this. The legends of Lewis's male chauvinism abound, and there is some documentation in an autobiographical sketch he was guilty of admitting, "There's no sound I like better than adult male laughter." One biographical directory even asserted that he frequently locked himself into his room when female figures appeared at the college. That's funny, isn't it? Oh gosh, it cracks me up. It cracks me up. There is nothing like men getting together. When I spoke at the 21 convention this past September, the camaraderie of younger and older men. I had a chance to go outside one night with a gentleman from Central Florida, Joshua, and had a pipe with him and showed him how to load a pipe and tamp a pipe and light a pipe. And God, we sat there for 2 to 3 hours smoking pipes and chatting, and that was kind of fun. And I stay in touch with him to this day, which is kind of interesting. Would you go out and get the water?
Yep.
Why? I told you I would do it.
It's not a big deal. It's 6 bottles out of the trunk.
I always start out stirring the coffee with the Vortex method, which optimizes the flavor of the coffee. I'll share that with you sometime, for those of you that have never seen that before. What's the matter?
You're a freak. The Vortex method. I call it chopstick.
Now you know why I get up at 4:30 and have some peace and quiet. C.S. Lewis speaks of when he was growing up. He was influenced by Beatrix Potter. And I would imagine when you look at fantasy writers and writers where inanimate objects become alive, and they put human characteristics, and that's called personification, making an inanimate object having human qualities. And I could see that influence in his writing. But he talks about these periods of joy, pleasure, not sexual, but joy. Taking a hike in the woods, sitting down, and having a great feeling. It might maybe it was ASMR, I don't know. A feeling of rapturous joy where he was taken out of his body and having an incredible feeling. He felt it. Watching animals chase each other, running up and down trees, listening to a dry brown leaf bounce off the branches and then finally land on the ground. And he talked about these periods where he would be alone and have moments of joy. And I thought that was interesting. And there's a reason why that he's probably one of my favorite authors and thinkers of all time. He talks about Christianity and paganism have more in common than Christianity and the secular world. Think about that for those of you that are Christian. And I'm not talking about making the jump. It might be easier for you to relate to a pagan than it is for you to relate to a secularist. Does that make sense to you? I find I have so many followers, and I find that those that are the more pagan-ish, now that has gotten a negative connotation, and with the injection of Satan and evil and all this darkness and all this kind of stuff, that has, when people think pagan, that's what they think. It has nothing to do with that. And I'm not a pagan, I'm a Christian. Orthodox Christian. Jesus is the Son of God, born of the Virgin Mary. Pretty much the Nicene and Apostles' Creed. That's what I believe. In my church, the pastor, right before the creed, will say, "Christian, what do you believe?" And then in unison, the whole church recites the Nicene Creed or the Apostles' Creed. That's what I believe. But he talks about this joy, feelings that you get by yourself from the world, sounds, sights, which is why I don't like to drown myself with sound and multi-sensory stuff. I don't like noise. Not only because I can't hear and everything is distorted, everything sounds like Charlie Brown's teacher. But I like focusing on things. I think maybe that's why I like firing up a pipe more than anything, is because it makes you stop and slow down and think, or even focus. I'll never forget when I was first separated, sitting on a chair on a friend's front porch, and just kind of a little downcast, and looking down at the porch, and I saw something moving out of the corner of my eye. It was an ant just walking across. How many times in my life have I seen ants or bugs? But this one time I can remember, and I remember the feelings that accompanied it. Watching an ant carrying something. It stopped in front of me. It stopped right like where my feet were. It stopped. And I said, hello. And it kept moving. And it ran off out of sight. Now normally, if I saw an ant, I don't know why, I would step on it. I would step on it. I don't know why. Or a bug, I'd swat it. A flying bug, I'd swat it. But it's odd. I said hello to an ant. I was unresponsive to human beings. And I feel like God brought me an ant. And when you feel God brings you something, you certainly don't want to step on it, do you? I don't want to say I let it live, but the effect was I let it live, so to speak, when I had the power to squash it. How many things come into your life that might be sent by God to elicit a reaction out of you and bring you company and bring you solace and bring you peace? Those of you, look up the word solace, S-O-L-A-C-E. How many times has something been brought into your life and you stepped on it? You squashed it. I was at a point where I was so weak, so unresponsive, so mentally beaten down, that an ant brought me joy. An ant brought me joy. And how many times have I seen bugs in my lifetime? And that was the first time ever that I remembered a single ant. When I used to talk about this ant, I would cry. Now I look back, I'm beyond the ant now, and the feelings that accompanied it. A little moment of joy. Hello. And then it kept moving. C.S. Lewis has these moments of joy in his lifetime. And he meets a woman. The woman he married. Guess what her name was? Joy. Do you think that was a message from God to him? I think so. What messages from God might be coming to you? And I'm not talking extra biblical, weird fantasy stuff. I'm coming from a Christian point of view, not a fantasy or a pagan point of view. But take that how you want it. What messages have come your way? Messages of peace, solace, comfort, calming your nerves, answering a question. Something that says, settle, settle. Something that's not from you. Not mixing a drink. I need to relax and have a glass of wine or make a couple drinks. I'm not talking about having cocktails. I'm not talking about enjoying green leaf and chemically bringing yourself down. What has been provided in your life? What instances have been provided in your life that bring peace? Things that come from outside of you. That have been sent. Things that were on a mission. And it sounds weird, but I felt that ant was on a mission that day. Because literally it took that ant 3 minutes to walk from one end of the porch to the other, and it stopped right in front of me. And I never, ever, ever sit like this, dejected. I had the typical dejected look. I never have my head in my hands. I never do this. I never do that. But I was doing that. And I spotted the ant. And I watched it. And when it stopped in front of me, I took my head out of my hand. And I said, hello. And it kept moving. All took place in about 3 minutes. For 3 minutes, I wasn't thinking about what I had lost and what my problems were. For 3 minutes. If something could get me to not think about my problems for 10 seconds in that period of my life, I would have loved it. But for 3 minutes, something that I didn't orchestrate or engineer brought me peace. Interesting, right? If you have any questions, feel free to ask down below. I would ask that you subscribe to this channel. Hit the thumbs up button if you like this message. And enjoy your coffee today. Peace be with you.